Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lea on the line with us. Clark, we have just uncovered
Uh-oh.
something we need your help on. So Billy has been spouting off as long as I've known him about Notre Dame.
Okay.
And Kelly asked him a simple question. You ever been up there? No.
No.
Inexcusable. Can you help get the guy a ticket to the,
Yeah, get him a
I don't know,
ticket,
to the,
Coach, please.
to the Army game or something?
I can get him up there. I'll get him a ticket. If
Yes.
he's a Notre Dame guy, you got to go experience it at least once.
There we go. Thanks to Coach.
Atta babe.
I'll be able to get up there.
Pitiful.
Atta babe.
Pitiful that we're having to ask this.
I'll admit that's pretty bad.
You cheapskate. Get your own ticket. Clark, when does a coach truly know what his football team is?
God, we're jumping right into the philosophical stuff, George. That's not really your style. No, I think you can form an opinion. Obviously, during camp. Camp's hard. I mean, it's a lot of days where it feels like Groundhog Day. You're kind of rinse and repeat. You're around your team a ton. Sometimes you can get blinded by just the repetition of it. You see yourself, verse yourself a lot, and so I think the competition we're seeing in our practices this year is closer to the speed and the physical aspects of the game that we'll see on Saturdays. I think our programs evolve that way, and that's measurable. I think you look for the signals when you are pushing in the middle of camp. Whether they're responding the right way, are they continuing to compete? And I can anymore now. We can use GPS data to see the work rate. But I think you don't. I think you learn a lot that first Saturday, honestly. And I think from there, it's a coach's job to set a course for improvement over a long season. But one of the challenges of college football is there is no preseason. So we're gonna drop in against a good Virginia Tech team. And we're gonna figure out exactly where we are. We're gonna fight like hell in that game, and then again we'll just set a course to continuously improve and try to make this the best season we can.
When you have a scrimmage, I got to attend your scrimmage last Saturday. And there are times where I have a hard time saying, okay, this group did really well. Does that mean the other group isn't any good, or does it mean this group is really good? How do you figure that out?
Well, it's hard. I think one of the things that also becomes challenging is just you kind of have a mixed and matched group of guys on the field, and whether it's defensive success or offensive success, like the one offense may be on the field. We do all ones-on-ones on the whole, so it's our best first, our best. Sometimes I'll come out of a scrimmage and feel like we didn't play well, or a live period and feel like we didn't play well. When I go back and watch the film, I realize that our top line guys really did a nice job. And then as we got down the bench, that's where we took on the water. And so you don't always get great perspective, but you never want there to be, a dominant side in a scrimmage. And that's the challenge of wearing two hats now for me is, I don't feel good when the offense goes out and has their way, and I don't feel good when the defense goes out and has their way. And, I think sometimes you can look at the film and say, we're not winning the margins quite yet, or we're just off in execution. That second scrimmage, we performed better on defense. I felt like we kind of won the day for that one. And you go back and watch, and certainly there are ways we can strengthen our performance, but there are things that the offense did independent of how we were playing that let us off the hook in some ways. And so what I say to the team is we want both sides to tell the truth to each other. And what that means to me is good teams make the opponent pay when they make mistakes. And, we shouldn't be able to get away with things defensively or offensively that aren't surgical execution and top level effort. We shouldn't be able to get away with that on our field. And if we do, it's because for whatever reason, you got a unit that's underperforming. And That may be a one-day thing, that may be a one-week thing, but certainly you don't want it to be a consistent thing, because I think that's an indicator that you got a little bit of an issue.
A year ago, before I ever knew he was coming here, I would spout off about a kid named Diego Pavia because I watched New Mexico State a bunch on those Tuesday night games. And I don't know maybe how to put my finger on it except to say the kid's a baller. And I don't know how else to say it. Have you all seen that side of him since he's gotten here?
We have, yeah. I mean, he's unique. I think one of one as a player. I mean, he's I tell this story a bunch, but when I first started studying New Mexico State, it was after they beat Auburn, and that was the week after we played Auburn. And I expected, when I put the film on, to see some 6'6" quarterback that had fallen through the cracks somehow, that was ripping the ball around the field everywhere. Instead, it was I don't know, 5'11", 6 foot, tough. It wasn't always pretty, but he managed to move the ball. He throws an interception early in that game, and he suplexes the linebacker on the sideline, like literally a wrestling move. And so just the film reeks of like elite competitive edge, and there is skill there too. I mean, there's real skill, and I think football intelligence. That's the thing that's been most impressive to me with him is, we like to think we present a lot of shells and a lot of rotations defensively, and he's going to take his time and scan the field and try to find the soft space in the zones, or the matchup he likes. He's got a knack for that. But when I was first struck with his kind of approach, it was the first time I got on the phone with him, and I was just really impressed with the level of maturity, the level of intensity too, and just his belief. I mean, it was like, rarely do I connect with someone on a level of belief in what we're going to accomplish here. I feel like there's a lot of convincing that has to be done, and with Diego in our first conversation, we were talking about winning championships together, and it was so natural. And I just appreciate that about him. It's a competitive mindset. It's a belief. He steps into it every day. The guys respond to it, and it's impressive.
He's got some Whit Taylor in him.
That's right.
That's the one I've decided on. Now you're going to get better questions. Here's Kelly Holcomb.
All right, Kelly.
I don't know, Coach. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
How's fall camp, man? It's well?
Yeah, it is. We're kind of into the 20-hour week now, so but we're also getting into game week prep. So I'm my days have gotten longer, but we had a good camp and made it out relatively healthy, which is always the goal. And we had our first kind of Virginia Tech prep day today, and I was impressed with how the team took the field and the spirit and energy they brought. So we've had a good start, and we just got to build on it.
How when you said the 20-hour week, how hard is it to get everything in 20 hours? That's because when I was in college, we didn't have that rule. I mean, we were football, and then more football, and now it's 20 hours. Like how hard is it to get stuff in 20 hours?
I mean, setting the schedule it's the silliest of kind of practice, where you're looking for every possible margin you can, and we schedule it right up to 20. Now, I mean, our guys right now are in the meeting rooms watching film on their own. Sometimes they'll come back and watch with the coaches. So they inevitably there's extra preparation that takes place, but it's certainly a challenge squeezing everything we need to get done into 20 hours.
So every year, I was thinking about this today because I knew you were coming on, but every year there's always a surprise. I mean, when I played in the NFL, there was always guys that make the team that's a surprise. There's guys that were injured that you didn't really know much about. Give us some examples of some surprises that you've had this fall camp.
Well, Jalen Lackey's one I would toss out there, and we saw him through the summer, a freshman corner who we kind of took in the season last year. He had been committed to Virginia and then flipped to us. He's really been impressive and really strengthened his performance and proven that he's ready for a role. Another freshman defensively, Glenn Seabrooks, is a guy that we've been stock up on. I think he's right at 350 pounds, and so you're starting to talk about some size inside that those guys are hard to move. But to watch a freshman play with pad level, he's got length. That's been really cool to see. Offensively, we've really taken to our young receiver skill. I mean, I think those guys, we've got some freshmen that have come in and done a nice job. And then I think offensively too, it's just been the development of all the parts and pieces. I mean, we had a couple of talented receivers a year ago that didn't quite have the role they wanted, or Quincy was just a little inconsistent in his performance. Junior Sherrill, local kid who really came onto the scene last year. Watching those guys' growth and their development, and I'd throw Seti Alexander and AJ Newberry into that mix too. I think those aren't surprises, but what's neat to me is to see the growth and development for those, especially the young players who are now a year in the program, and I guess like 6 or 7 months in our strength and conditioning program. To see the strides they've made and to see it show up on the field has been really cool.
Okay, so my last question is, you've already talked about Diego Pavia. You brought his coach. How big of a hire was Jerry Kill for you to get? I mean, he's been a head coach. You're always learning as a coach, you're always learning as a player, but like, what has he helped you with, and how big of a hire was that for you?
Well, it was huge. Now, I mean, for me, I get to have a mentor in the building, and someone who sat in this seat and someone who understands kind of the endless number of decisions that need to be made day in, day out to kind of shift the direction of the team. And sometimes the hardest decisions to make are the ones to pull back. I think every head coach kind of has this mindset of, more and more is better. And Jerry's helped me just balance that instinct with this idea that we need to have a fresh and fast team when we play against Virginia Tech. I think we maximized our summer, and we played a lot of football here in fall camp. But I get a sheet of paper from Jerry every week where he punches up notes, and it's just observations in the program. Some of them are celebrations of things that look like they're totally in sync, and then he'll point out some things that he feel like aren't quite aligned or where I need to put my attention. You can't put a value on that perspective. And again, someone who really was hired here to support Tim in his role as offensive coordinator, but to help me as I wear two hats, make sure that I keep the big picture stuff in perspective too. I mean, it's been incredible. So I'm lucky to have him. Hope he's here for a long time, and he's a good dude too. So he keeps it light around here also. And it makes me feel young. I feel young again. I got Jerry around.
Coach, I'll be in touch about the South Bend trip, by the way. Just stay tuned. Last thing, talk about this defense. You've taken over as the defensive coordinator. What have you seen throughout fall camp that gets you excited to see this group and let fans watch this group too? What can we expect from this defense that will be yours, along with, of course, the other staffers in that room?
Yeah, I'm proud of the work we put in. I think we're going to be multiple in the way we attack the opponent. And, I say the word attack intentionally. We want to position our defenders to play assertively and to play aggressively. I think too often on defense in college football, you kind of get on your heels and you become reactionary. And so, we have to be really smart in how we design around the strengths of the unit. And so it's kind of, we say internally, it's 50% what we play and 50% how we play it. We've spent, pretty much every day we've been together in a meeting setting. We've talked about, the anchors of elite defense, and those are characteristics of how we play. So, for example, like, ball disruption or, block destruction, how you suffocate the ball, how you contest space, how you communicate. Those are our 5 anchors of elite defense. And so what we do is we put up the previous day's work, and we show how those anchors are showing up or not showing up on our field. We support that film with examples from NFL games where you're teaching them how to play, right? We spend a lot of time on what to play, but how to play the game, and wanting to be really proud of how those anchors show up in our performance. So from a fan's perspective, you should see a tough physical team that's been trained to contest space and to execute within structure, but also to win at the point of attack and to swarm the ball. And I'm excited. The way I see it as a coach, I'm relegated to the sideline. I'll call a play. Sometimes it'll be a good call, and sometimes it'll be a bad call. And I'm sure George can tell me all about that. But I'm just kidding, George. I don't mean to do that to you, man.
That was a good line.
I'll say this: my dad will be able to tell me whether it was good or bad. How about that?
See, okay, now that's what I was about to say was, thank you for coming on, but most importantly, how is Dad doing?
Well, let me finish this thought to say my job and what I'm trying to do is to create problem solvers on the field. And you can solve problems by getting into a different call. But I really believe in my heart of hearts, it's making sure they see the game the right way from a tactical standpoint, but making sure they play the game the right way from a physical standpoint. And that combines, I mean, to me, and again, Kelly, I'm the defensive guy, but there's nothing more fun than to watch a defense that plays together, plays hard, and plays physically. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing to see, and we hope that we can inspire some people to get in the stands and watch us compete.
Kelly, we are late, or I'd ask more about Dad. Thank you for coming on. You tell Dad we said hello.
I'm sure he's watching. So hello, Dad. And, have you had him on yet?
No, but I'd like to.
You need to prepare for like 12 hours if you're going to.
Listen, you invite him out to the Fordyce Center in Bellevue, and by golly, we will have him on.
By the way, it's, C3 is going to be, it's about hockey season for him. So we're going to be,
there you go.
We'll be out at the ice center a little bit. At least Allison will.
Hey, get ready. They're going to be good this year.
That's great. Good to be with you guys.
Talk to you.
Brother.
Good luck
Thanks, Coach.
week
All
from
right, guys.
Saturday.
Thanks. We'll see y'all.